What's happening, CSTers? Welcome to the big show this Monday evening. Glad you are with us. I'm Nick Sterling, FC Cincinnati fans. It's a rough one Saturday night as the Orange and Blue fall to Nashville SC 3-0. We're going to talk about that match, offer up our best and worst a little bit later on in the show. For those of you who have been watching the Gold Cup of late, we saw that Costa Rica over the weekend fell to Canada, which means FC Cincinnati should be getting two of its stronger players back in Alan Cruz and Ronald Matarrita. So we'll discuss how that should help the club going forward the rest of the summer. And we got some potential bombshell breaking news regarding soccer in Cincinnati today from our own DJ Schweitzer. So we'll be discussing that a little bit later on in the show as well. Of course, if you're watching us live here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, we appreciate you so much for tuning in each and every Monday night like you always do. I can't thank you enough. If you're wanting to leave us feedback, and trust me, we got a lot of feedback this week, make sure you hit us up, feedback@CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com, and you can follow us and send us tweets on Twitter at Cincy Soccer Talk. All right, let's welcome in my cast of characters for this week. I will start with the one and the only, Brian Weigel. Brian, how are you, sir?
USA. Here to talk about positive things going on around Cincinnati soccer this week. I'm so jazzed. Got my Bomb Pop jersey on tonight. Hopefully the women pull through versus Australia this week. U.S. men are advancing in the Gold Cup or Olympics Gold Cup. Yeah, good stuff going around. Got some boys, some people coming back. Matarrita and Cruz coming back. So I'm excited. Hopefully turn the page and kind of go upward and onward into the rest of the season here. Pumped.
I like that. You kind of almost went to a little bit of Brad there at the end with the upward and onward. I was almost expecting you to say onward to 3 points. You're close. It was close.
No, we don't know what that is. But go ahead. Yeah, no, keep that up. No, I'm joking, guys. I'm having fun. Let's go. I'm pumped. This is just what they call it. Like, was it like the 5 layers of depression or grief or something like that, where you're like just sad and angry, and then it's like, hey, I'm elated or whatever. No, that's five spheres of FC Cincinnati fandom. I'm just going to ignore and be positive or try, and let's have fun.
All right, so I'm glad to have you back again. That's 2 weeks in a row. I like it. Let's welcome back to the show Jeff Tebbets. Looking good, Jeff. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, man. Be the goldfish. Ted Lasso opens up this weekend. Take whatever negativity is and turn it into positivity. I mean, we're getting people online that are suddenly a big time FC Cincinnati fans. I mean, there was this one guy who wrote us, Josh Sundheim. He says, as a lifelong FC Cincinnati fan, I have to say that I think Jaap Stam just needs to be supported by ownership to be successful. And hey, I totally agree with this guy. I mean, it's great to see these FC Cincinnati fans come out. Now they're disguising themselves as Crew fans, but it's good to see, Josh, Jenny of Ohio, Trevor Sabo, Chris Benjamin, Bryant and me, Alex Stanek, all of these FC Cincinnati fans coming out of the woodwork and supporting us. I know they'll deny it. They will say, no, I'm not, but they are true blue FC Cincinnati fans. So thank you guys.
Well, yeah,
it's all over Twitter today. It's positivity from them.
It's been blown up. I appreciate you being on the show as well, Jeff. Looking forward to getting your thoughts on the Orange and Blue. And last, but certainly not least, we welcome back to the program the Wolfman, Bill Wolf. Bill, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm great. This is an exciting weekend, right? I mean, the King's Hammer product, Archimedes, right? Got his rollout. Got to debut. I wrote a little song I was going to play for everybody here.
Oh,
no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he had a guitar. He had a guitar.
Nobody wants me to play guitar, as I've heard. At least I've heard that from somebody. Maybe some other time.
Did you steal that from Nashville or something like that? Were you down at the Grand Ole Opry?
Dang, man. No, you'll have to follow the pig to understand. But
bravo, Bill.
Oh, that's right. That is right. That's right, Bill. That's good. Very good. Very good.
Bravo. That's really well done, Bill. It was so good that Bill all of a sudden he's back. Okay, good.
Yeah. My video went away for a minute. I don't know what happened.
It's those internet gremlins are coming after you.
They are. They didn't want to hear me play either, I guess.
I would love to hear you play. Maybe not tonight. Maybe
I didn't even. Honestly, I didn't even tune it, so it's a good thing I didn't play. So
that's what they all say, right?
I could do the. There you go.
Hey, that's better than I could do. Glad to have you back on the show. Looking forward to getting everybody's thoughts about what happened over the weekend with the orange and blue. As I mentioned, FC Cincinnati falls 3-0. FC Cincinnati, even though it was a poor result, there were some, maybe one or two positives from this weekend. One of those being FC Cincinnati's first ever homegrown player getting minutes in an actual game. So we'll definitely be talking about that a little bit later on, and I'm sure one of these gentlemen will offer that up in their best and worst. Speaking of best and worst, let's go with our best and worst. I'll start with you, Brian. You got a best and worst from Saturday night.
Well, I don't want to gloss over the Atlanta game because we did have a midweek match there. I was going to say my best.
I forgot about it.
Best for the week. Can we do that? Like best for the week?
Yeah, I like it.
Because I did feel like there was a lot of positivity, at least in that first, 40 minutes, 30, 40 minutes in that Atlanta game, was our creativity and willingness to go forward, playing positive soccer in that Atlanta game. There's like the first time I'm like, God, man, I think we're actually starting to, really run train over these guys. We had a couple balls, just Alec Khan, whatever, just kept him out, and I felt like really, honestly, could have been a winning match for FC Cincinnati. So I was excited to see that. Worst of the week was the opposite of that. Is the urgency and the composure after going down, and how are we going to claw ourselves back into this match? How are we going to create offense against a tough, defensively stout opponent? So I would say that was probably my worst of the week. Even though I'm joking about Viasia's, composure and kicking the ball out to the yellow card. He's a young guy. I love the fire, love the moxie, love the intensity he brings. But yeah, you got to know you're going to get a card out of that. So a couple of those things kind of all around. But yeah, so there were some goods, there were some bads. I'm sure we'll talk a lot more.
Jeff?
Once again, I tend to go worst and then best. So I'll say with the worst, the substitution patterns are driving me crazy. I know that we are lacking depth. We have, Matarrita and Cruz both out. Kubo was out on Wednesday because of yellow card accumulation, and we're starting to accumulate yellow cards that are needless. But to see that we're only getting 2-3 subs in during a game when we can use 5. We've only used 5 substitutes 5 times out of 14 matches this year. So it's telling me that there's a lack of trust with some people, or a lack of understanding how to use them and use the best of your bench help. The best, I'm going to be positive and say the best is that we're not out of this. There are teams that are below us that aren't able to put together a winning streak. There are teams just above us that aren't able to put together a winning streak. The only teams that really seem to be pulling away from the heap right now are the Revolution, who I think a lot of people picked to be first, and Nashville, who have played 11 games at home to start the season. And I don't see them being able to do that on the road. So we're still in it because there's really nobody who wants to pull away and be a playoff team.
All right. How about you, Bill? Best and worst?
Well, I already kind of went with my best a little bit during the intro there, but yeah, I think, Archimedes, or Akimi as they call him, I think seeing him roll out was my best. Not so much just because, it's great to see a local, King's Hammer product who makes it up to the academy, get an MLS contract and finally, take his first touches on the ball. That's exciting in and of itself. But honestly, it's a little bit of what Jeff just said, which is our substitutions have been a little scary. And I know that we've been down people. Obviously, we were down 3 for Atlanta. We've been down 2 for quite a while with Cruz and Matarrita out. So, it's like sometimes I feel like we have nobody on the bench that Stom wants to go to. And honestly, from an attacking standpoint, we have a Tonga, Bariel, Brenner, obviously Acosta, but those 3 up top, and then it seems like we don't have anything after that. And we have Mines on the bench, we have Kimi on the bench, and it seems like we need to at least give some of these guys a shot, even if it's like in the last game, just 10 minutes or whatever. But let's roll them out and get them some touches and start to get some of these young attacking players some time on the ball, so that maybe we actually find out we have something there. But anyway, that's my best. That was long-winded. My worst, if I stick kind of to Nashville, really disappointed with the midfield. And I understand that, we were lacking, but we had Kubo back. He's been pretty good for us. Obviously he got some rest because he wasn't at Atlanta. Not at Atlanta, but what I mean, at the game. Yep. And then, we ended up with, a midfield that just really couldn't compete. And honestly, we were stacking up a midfield of 3 players against essentially a 2-person midfield at Nashville. They were playing a 3-4-3. So, we put 3 in the middle, they put 2 in the middle, and somehow we end up with no option other than long balls, and trying to get a long ball to Acosta against, 2 tall center defenders is just pretty much a wasted effort. So, we saw that in that match where, we had 0 shots on goal. So.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's tough for me as far as my best. I think we all, before the season started, maybe I think we all kind of, I don't want to say assumed, but we almost chalked the Nashville match up to, this is probably a game maybe FC Cincinnati doesn't win, right? So I guess as far as my worst goes, like I wasn't upset that they lost. I guess I was more upset at how it was lost. Like it just seemed like the orange and blue were flat. Like it just seemed like nothing came off. Like nothing was working offensively, defensively, getting shredded as easily as they were, getting beat near post on a shot like that. I mean, granted, it was a hard shot. Don't get me wrong, but you just can't get beat near post like that. So that's my worst. The fact that it just felt like they came out flat. And I guess that's understandable. A lot of these guys had some extra travel in recent days to shore up different visa issues, other situation. Maybe that wasn't their fault, but again, that's some extra travel on their legs. I know they just played a midweek game against Atlanta, but I'm going to offer up a best that is not related to, well, I guess it sort of is related to the orange and blue, but my best of the week is, how about my guy, Mike LaHood, getting engaged? How about that? Mike LaHood, you are my best of the week. Congrats on getting engaged. And also our very own Paul Barvinchak getting engaged as well over the weekend. So, I mean, it's just, if you got to be happy about something, there you go. Those are my best.
Yeah, it's in the air. I wonder who's next.
It's in the air. That's right. Is it you, Bill? I know it's not me.
No, I'm married. So.
Yep. All right. So those are our best and worst. Again, we've been showing some of the comments here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter throughout the night. So make sure you get in touch, chime in there. We are going to open up phone lines. So if you want to chime in and have your say about what's going on with the orange and blue, give us a call, 513-399-KICK, 513-399-KICK. This is your chance to have your say, FCC fans. So get in touch. You're right, Bri. I completely forgot that there was an Atlanta game in the midweek, because it was one of those games where, once again, FC Cincinnati had the lead and couldn't see it out. You were a big proponent earlier on in the month about, 10. This could be a 10-point month for FC Cincinnati if you looked at some of their schedule, their fixtures, and right now with only one match remaining in the month, they are sitting on 3 points. So are you disappointed? I mean, obviously disappointed, but are you surprised that it's only 3, or obviously should have been more with where they were in some of those games?
Certainly. There's points to be had. And I think, when FC Cincinnati looks back at the end of the season, they're going to look at this time, and very, very difficult to give up those points in Atlanta, especially because we were playing very well, and I would say arguably better than, or significantly better than they were for the first 60 minutes or so, whatever it was. And
we looked dangerous.
Yeah, we looked dangerous. And of course, they made some substitutions. We were late to adjust. Our midfielders, I try to point out nice things with Stanko, because I love that signing at first, but he's failing to track runners. And thank goodness for the Kenneth Vermeer show on Wednesday, or else, I mean, legitimately, some of those chances really could have been, forced a loss to the FCC. But
can I amend my best then?
Yeah,
that's my one. Michael Hood getting engaged is 1A. 1B is Kenneth Vermeer making team of the week. We should give him props for that. He made team of the week for his performance. I'm glad you brought that up, Brian.
It's for somebody who has an aspiring beard. His beard is glorious. So I will give him all the shout. No, I mean, everybody out there, whether it was the coach, the media, the fans, were just frustrated with his performance. And my goodness, I don't know if I've seen a player at FC Cincinnati in the entire time here just step up after being called out to the carpet and putting in several very good performances. I will argue his performance in Nashville was pretty good. I mean, the XG was low, and a bunch of tough shots, but I still think that I don't know how much there was for him to do in down there. So, outside of that, I still feel like there's elements of progress that you saw. We've seen it in every game. Now can we start putting that together for, versus 30 good minutes or 40 good minutes, maybe 75 good minutes. So I'm just hoping that we can keep that ball rolling on that front.
The problem I see with Kenneth Vermeer, and he had a great game against Atlanta. There's no doubt about that. He really put together something good. But at the same time, he did play the three games in 8 days. I was expecting him to get rest in one of those days, maybe see if TD can replicate his performance that he gave us week 1 against Nashville. The game against Nashville, yeah, you could say he did okay. But that goal, that second goal that he gave up, that he should have been able to push that one out. That was a difficult angle that was scored upon him. He should have been able to make that stop. And if he makes that stop, it's a 1-0 game at halftime, and maybe things change.
I want to ask you a question, Jeff, about, like, you were talking about Teton starting, and this is something we can talk about later or whatever, guys. We've been questioning, like, usage of players. And do you think this is more like you want to keep your starters having that confidence, do you think? Or, like, I'm worried that conversely that, some of our bench players might be losing some confidence, or maybe, training less hard because they might not have the ability, even though they've, put blood, sweat, and tears for the past, was it 5 months under Stallman, haven't got a shot, Ben Mines, for example.
Yeah. I mean, I totally think that you really should be playing some of these players that could use minutes. You're looking at, it was great that Kimi came out, Archimedes came out, and yeah, it's a real good, feel good story. But then you look at Ben Mines hasn't played any minutes. Flanagan hasn't played any minutes. I'd like to see if we are down 3-0 and people in hopes are down, maybe you put somebody in there who can inject something. Maybe Ben Mines has a glimmer of hope. He gets a goal, it becomes 3-1, and that confidence builds to next week. I just wanted to see more than just Kimi coming off the bench.
Yeah, of course we don't see training, and that's tough for our end. I mean, you're limited on what we can see when Jeff and all those people go down. But yeah, you said Evian Flanagan. What would you feel like if you're a player and you've been with the group for majority of the year, and then a guy who just got signed just jumps you and takes that left back role for that game last Saturday?
It's tough.
Yeah. For me, I think it's, what we're seeing is that we're going to pay for this. I mean, the players can't keep going at this rate. They can't play 75 minutes, 2 games a week with, hardly any breaks at all. There's no rotation really. And, we're seeing the effects of it. I mean, even
Saturday night.
Yeah, Saturday night, even Atlanta, right? I mean, the subs come really late, and you could tell that players like Barriel were gassed and done, and you want them to put 100% in, but there has to be somebody behind them, and maybe we're better off in a situation where you put in a Kimi or a Ben Mines who you don't have as much confidence in, but at least they're fresh legs, and I'm starting to feel like even if there is a gap and Stom doesn't feel so comfortable, I think he's doing damage to the players we have. Certainly, if you look at, Columbus, where we gave up a 2 goal lead, up a man. Montreal, we gave up 2 goal leads. And then, we had a 1 goal lead at Atlanta, maybe not as strong, but still, we're giving up leads. And I think the team is just, we press and then we get tired and then there's just no respite. And, that 7 points lost out of, a potential 9 points, we ended up with 2, and we can't just burn our players out. I mean, we know there's talent there. And some of our issues may be the fact that, we're giving up goals late because we're just fatigued.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Of course, like as I mentioned, FCC fans, we don't want to hear from you tonight. Get in touch with us, 513-399-KICK, 513-399-KICK. Let's head to the CST hotline and let's welcome in Todd from Cincinnati. Todd, what's up? Welcome to CST.
Hey, guys, you're my favorites. How are you all doing?
We're doing well. What do you want to talk about tonight, Todd?
All right, so I'm going to review my best and my worst
Okay.
because I just feel like I'm part of the team, even though I never make it on camera. I think the best, I want to give a shout out to the traveling Bailey that makes it down to Nashville. There's a lot of familiar faces that you'll see in those pictures. There are a lot of fans that are, in supporters groups. They travel, they're in the Bailey going crazy. And that's one thing that I think we need to highlight is those that might be disappointed, might be frustrated, but they're showing up to the matches. They're giving their all for the 90 minutes. Some of them are capos, some of them are going to set up. So I think that that's definitely a best.
Sure.
When I go to the worst, part of my worst is the incessant complaining and whining on these Facebook groups from fans who seemingly don't understand it. And maybe I'll take a page out of Stan's playbook and say that you guys need to have a fundamental understanding of what's going on before you're going to sit there and complain and trash everybody, because it's a Cincinnati way. We've been a bandwagon sports city for so long that we can't let that permeate into this culture, because soccer, football globally, it's a different culture. You can hold your club responsible. You can go after the front office, the managers, the coaches and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you're for your city, for your club. And that's something that we need to start all coming together. Maybe that's the thing that unites the Pod Wars. Maybe Brian and Brad, one's NWO red, one's NWO white. That's what binds you two together. And there's no Pod Wars anymore. It's pod peace.
I like
but
that.
That's the challenge. Yeah, that's the challenge that, people that are listening right now, I haven't really taken to much of those groups to chastise, what's going on. Maybe because I'm a United fanboy and we're going to have a great run coming up. But I want my club to do well. And at a certain point, the first person I'm going to hold accountable is Gerard. Stom's got to work with what he has. And when Matarrita comes back on Cruz is there, we were doing fine. There is something there because now Atonga comes in as fresh legs. Or if we're going to play Lucho as a false nine with two up front, which I think actually we should start experimenting with more, we're going to have more people coming in. That'll be the fresh legs like Bill said. Vanderwoof is supposed to be back in the next week or so, based on when I ran into him. So that's something that hopefully gets Hagelin off the field and we don't lose more ball watching goals. But I think that right now, the best thing that we can really highlight is the support, and just everybody out there has to stay the course. That's my biggest thing. As somebody who talks a lot of, fun garbage on Twitter, stay the course.
That's not like you, Todd. You don't talk fun garbage on Twitter.
I know. Well, once people around me like, why are you so, whatever online? Because it's fun. Anyways, go after Columbus, go after Nashville, go after all the supporters. Stop going at each other. That's the biggest thing I can say here. And if anybody tries to bring this back up to me, I will deny it. And I'm still, I'm a bad guy. I'm a heel. So thanks, guys.
Appreciate the call, Todd. Appreciate it. Todd getting us off to a good start here tonight on the CST hotline.
Yeah, really good point from his too about the away supporters. I mean, I've done that. You go into enemy territory. It's one thing to support a team when you got 26,000 people around you, let's call it 25,000 or whatever, but 25,500 or who knows, but a lot, right? And you've got that support from the whole stadium. But you go into enemy territory and there's like 50 of you or 20 of you, and you're trying to somehow generate energy for your team. You feel like you're screaming into a black hole or screaming into a vacuum. And then especially when you go down and you're losing, talk about, having to have some serious backbone to stand up there and support your team and scream and yell and play drums, or maybe not play drums because they weren't allowed, but, sing the chants. That's hard to do when everybody's basically laughing at you because, they're winning the game and they think that they're, superior.
Results change that.
Good for them.
Results definitely change that, though,
Yeah, they do.
But I agree with you. I think it takes a lot of effort. I applaud those supporters who make the trips regularly. I know for a while there, Melissa was making those trips. I don't know if she still is or not, but I know I think she went that whole first year. She went to every game. I mean, that's remarkable. So, absolutely. I'm glad that Todd brought that up. He brought up some other good points as well, particularly about the Manchester United, but we'll just leave that for that. It's another podcast for another day.
What does that mean with like, Jose taking off his I mean,
Also,
he makes a really good point. I mean, I'm sort of glad that I think this is like one of the only games that's on a Saturday with a derby implication. For some reason, like Chicago games and even they tried to put a Columbus game on Wednesday. So it's good that they're opening this up so that we can travel on a Saturday. And also for the past year, we haven't been able to travel. For some people, we still can't travel. I think there's still a lot of people who are concerned about, what's going on with the pandemic. But to see 90, 100 people go down there and give it their all for 90 minutes, it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
But you also have to, tip your hat to Nashville. They wanted this more than us because we have had a win against them. As much as they call it a draw, we've beaten them.
Technicality. I like it.
Technicality. So
correct me if I'm wrong. Was that the last time we'll go to Nissan unless somehow there's a miracle and FCC make the playoffs and they play Nashville down there?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I won't miss that facility.
They don't have a weekend game left. I think they have one Friday night game left there the rest of the season. So that their majority of their homestand,
Yep.
I think 11 games already, 12 games already is done. That's crazy. So,
Titans, man.
we got a bunch left, and
That's
we'll
right.
talk about that here soon with schedule congestion.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. And that's the other thing that I think Todd brought up in terms of getting Matarrita and Cruz back. We still lose them again in September.
Mhm.
So as much as it's great that we're getting them back,
You had to remind me, Jeff.
we're losing them again.
We got a lot of topics on here, guys. Schedule congestion, transfer window. We got how many days left now?
Wait, there's a transfer window open right now?
Shoot, yeah.
Hard to tell, isn't
Guy,
it?
funny guy.
Again, if you want to get in touch, Todd started us off. Again, we've got lines open, 513-399-KICK. This is your chance to have your say, FCC fans. We're opening up the phone lines. We want to hear from you. Again, 513-399-KICK is the number to call. While we transition to another topic, before we can do that, let's just remind you how you can support the show. We want to thank our awesome supporters. So let's give it up to Tim Bronsel, Matt Adamczyk, Mike Hudson, Brian Malone, Jamie Smed, Jonas Tom, Jack Emery, Mike Bowman, Kathleen Francis, Matt Imholt, Matthew Long, Joe Coling, Tara Mullins, Riley Stephen Burke, and Melissa Bingle. Thank you again so much for your tremendous support of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. To learn more on how you can support the show, again, head on over to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support, where you can do just that. So as I mentioned, we've got lines open. If you want to chime in and have your say tonight, be our guest. We would love to hear from you, FCC fans. All right. Tight schedule. Fixture congestion. It's going to come. It's happening thick and fast, ladies and gentlemen. The games are going to become, because of that big break we had earlier on in the summer for internet. What was that for? That wasn't for Gold Cup. No, it was Nations League and then other things.
Yeah.
There was a big 3-week gap where FCC didn't play. So like, man, I really wish maybe that wasn't a 3-week gap, because those days are coming back to haunt. They're not hurting other clubs, although Seattle goes and throws out 18 teenagers and they go and win. Spencer Ritchie did he get a clean sheet in that game?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for
Did
Spencer.
well. Yeah.
So I mean, what do you
One of the good guys.
Yeah. So I mean, if they don't get bodies in, we're going to continue to see this get worse and worse, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's no doubt there. I think you asked me last week, at least, what roles would I bring in? I still, even though Zhao, I think, had a good run of a couple games here at that right back role, I think that if you bring in a right back, you free Zhao up to be that right winger. I still think you go out and get a left winger, because then Ataga comes in and, his pace kills you for the last 30 minutes of a match. I think those are more tools that you have for Stomp. Of course, we saw Wanyama versus Macheron. You're like, God, I'd love a 6-2, but I think we have so much tied up in that central midfield role there. But I mean, we have 5 weeks where we have 3 games, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, or whatever in that mix. Plus we have another game where it goes, I think we're off on a Saturday, and it goes Wednesday, Saturday. So, if we're going to keep hearing, we didn't play well because of, travel and congestion, it's only going to get worse, especially when we stack even more games on top of each other. So that worried me after Stom's post-match interview there with Steck. Doesn't mean it's not valid. It's another concern for what Todd said on there, that roster build. So
Clifford on Facebook chat brought up a good point too. Barriel subbed off at halftime. I don't know if you gentlemen touched on that earlier in the show, but was subbed off at halftime with some muscle issues. So that's, again, as these guys play more and more minutes, those are the things that are going to happen.
It was a tough game in Nashville. I mean, they didn't even have a hydration break.
Yeah, that was ludicrous.
It was like maybe it felt like it was hotter than it should have been, but it wasn't humid, and it also was just barely under like the temperature it has to be to get hydration breaks. That might have hurt them more than anything. Not getting that extra break that you really deserve. That being said, I'm not. I can see some positivity coming out of this. Castillo has played decent filling in for Monterrita. I think we can all agree about that. That goal he scored against Columbus was incredible. At times,
I still think he was at fault for the goal. The Atlanta goal got beat, and then also got beat Saturday night and against them. But you're right. I mean, you're good. You're not. There's a trade-off there, right? I mean, there's a reason why he's your backup left back.
Right. So, and frankly, I think also at times we've seen Harris Medunian come back and give us a little bit, but he can't give us 90 minutes. And that's one of the things that we really miss about having Cruz or not having Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, you look like you want to chime in. You go.
Well, there's all kinds of little things there that get said. I mean, I was thinking about Castillo and the goal, and for sure he got burned. He didn't, he didn't close down the space. He let that cross get in. But there was like literally nobody on the back post, and it was like three of their players over there. It was, I don't know that you can just say it was completely Castillo, but,
sure.
For sure, if you don't get the cross off, you don't get the goal. But no, I think Castillo's been fine. I think, Cruz, being out has hurt us more, obviously. We've got, we saw Makocho come back for this last game, and
finally.
Well, and then we wondered why he came back after we wondered why he hadn't been playing. So it was definitely rough. I think, Brian, you said a little bit ago about, a 6, would be nice. I think that's still where we're hurting right now.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, Kubo's maybe filling the role, but I don't think that's a natural position for him. I think we're, obviously Makocho's not doing it. Medunian is not doing it. Kubo's doing okay. But, if we had an actual player that I think, played that role well, I think it frees up a lot on our roster as far as, you can move Kubo to the left wing. You can move Atonga as a backup for Barriel. He can play on the right where he's naturally used to playing instead of an inverted winger, and come in as a burner at the end of a game. I mean, just that alone makes a huge difference to the way we could line up a roster.
And those midfield three, especially for Nashville, moved around a lot. I think Stanko was kind of trying to do that holding role a little bit. Yep. In that Atlanta game, and he was at fault quite a bit. He lost the runner. Same with Castillo, failed to close down the space. I think there was a couple chances in the Nashville game, and I think there's a point where people were calling for Stom's head this week, especially after the Nashville game. Saying we didn't set up right, and he put in 3 guys in that midfield to kind of try to control or limit Nashville controlling play. Yes, they gave us the ball a lot and our possession stats were inflated, and you can say how much that means, but in reality, those 3 guys did a fairly serviceable job throughout the course of the game holding that midfield. It was just on those quick counters and the failures to track the runners back where we allowed the quick goals. I mean, I think the free kick was due to somebody getting by and Cameron having to foul him out. And, of course, those first 2 goals as well. But I saw what Stom was trying to do. And to Coach's point, we weren't executing in all facets of the game. There were a lot of personal mistakes in this match that allowed goals. I saw something on Nashville website. I think FC Cincinnati has allowed like 5 additional shots due to player errors, and that's like one of the highest in the league. And we're committing a lot of mistakes as a unit. I don't want to put it all that we're set up perfectly, and that's and the reason why we're failing is personal mistakes. I don't think that's it at all, because we still couldn't generate any offense. But yeah, there's a lot going on there that we still. I think adding some more players will help. Or quality players, quality players. Not just adding bodies.
Wait,
Yes,
they have to be
up.
quality?
Yeah.
Well, because I've seen a lot of people like being like, oh, we got to add domestics and we got to do these things. Well, Camo, I feel bad for the guy, because he was brought in as a very expensive, high quality signing. We talked to the guys at Brentford. They said, yes, he had lost a step, but he's still a really quality player. We overpaid for him, but sometimes that's what we have to do to get people over here. And, the signing just didn't work. Now, just because you bring in domestic signing doesn't mean he's going to work either. Stanko and some MLS guys. I mean, it's challenging, but we need to, I still feel like we got allocation money, or we have a potential DP spot to go get some guys that are going to be difference makers. We need a difference maker on the wing. Look at like the 30-minute segments Locadia put in versus what Atonga's put in. Atonga is only getting like 20 some odd touches a game. It's absurd. That's the one things that kill me about Castillo, where I think he's doing a good job, but he's not getting the ball to Atonga at all. So will he play better when Moderita's in there? I hope so. Sorry, this long spiel.
No, that was good. I liked it.
Well, I do think Castillo is, being a little bit older, he tends to not go forward as much as Moderita does. And, Moderita is known for going forward. And obviously, some people question some of his defensive choices.
It's a different type of going forward, though. Moderita will dribble the ball and create things, where Castillo is kind of that late runner.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that's going to make a difference. I do think, Atonga will get better service with Moderita interacting with him in a different way. But, I also, I don't know if that's, Atonga's strong point coming in from the left. So
it's not. I've been saying that he's not a.
Well, what is his strong point?
His strong point is to come in and replace Barriel when he needs a breather. One of the big problems that we've had is that we've had left wingers. We had Locadia, we had Harris, and we had Frank and Kubo. One's being played out of position. One was let go because the rental was up. One is injured. One is coming off injury. So we really haven't had a healthy pair of legs on the left. Hopefully that changes. Hopefully, if we can juggle things around and get a good 6, and you can bring Kubo up to the left, maybe finally we've got an attack that has all of its options open.
All right, I'm going to read this comment on Facebook because it's quite long, but I think it's valid. This is from Joseph. The story of every match seems to be we didn't execute. Where do we put that? If I didn't execute at my job, they would bring in someone, usually cheaper, and have them execute me out. I am tired of excuses, and we see no action. I think that's what he means to say. On a positive note, we are playing better as a team with positive talent that we have in the past years. But every year the talent level goes up, and we do not rise to that level. What is the solution?
Well, Stom pulled Vaisia's butt out of the game when he didn't execute. So I got to say that's something there. Sending a message maybe.
I think he also, again, I know they say the Barrial was hurt, but let's be fair. He did not have a very good first half either.
No.
Yeah. And we hate, I think somebody in the post, Real Snark Lake, I can't remember, Jason, he put out a thing where, we want these guys to succeed, and we think I believe Stom's going to be here till the end of the season. I don't want to really open up that can of worms unless we went like a 10-match unbeaten, or sorry, not unbeaten, 10-match losing streak, whatever. We still don't have all the pieces that we need to succeed on the field, and Stom has been given all the tools. Yes, he hasn't been great managing all the tools. Has he pulled wrong levers? Absolutely. But every MLS roster is going to be incomplete, but I still feel like we're significantly more incomplete than others. Do you guys agree with that? I'm not trying to point like Ben, mind you stink.
Yeah.
There's something there why Stom doesn't want to play him. Is that Stom's fault or is it Ben's fault? I don't know.
I think that this team has been behind since they started.
Oh God, no, not again. Are you talking about the initial roster build?
No, I'm just saying from day one. they've always been behind, Bri. That's just
certainly.
So
Certainly.
yeah, I agree. I think that this team is incomplete and has been since its inception in Major League Soccer.
Yeah.
2018 was different.
And this is a good segue, guys. I'm going to ask you guys this question. So I put a tweet out there this weekend saying I'm not trying to be mean, controversial, or an a-hole with this question. This team still needs significant pieces after a massive spend this past winter. If you're Carl Leonard III, do you trust that your money will be spent wisely and well this summer window?
No.
I think he has the chance to send a huge message here.
Yeah. No, I think the message is sent, and maybe it wasn't from Carl Leonard, but for me to see us give up a DP and then promote Kubo from TAM to DP is a message. And that message basically is that we're not willing to spend money right now. Now, whether that's because Gerard doesn't think we should spend money on a quality player, I'm not thinking that's it. I think it's more like, let's see where this goes. And, maybe if we don't do well at the end of the year, then we haven't signed a big contract.
There's a lot of factors at play here, right?
There's a lot.
Yes, the window's open, but there's also another window coming up this winter. And will Yapstam be back? That's also plays a huge factor in
that's
this.
my point, right? Right now, we have been bottom of the league for 2 years. We've spent the 5th largest amount of money, right, of any team in the league, and we are not at the bottom, but we'll see how the rest of the season goes. Let's be fair. I mean, we beat a couple bottom dwellers, and then we're struggling. So. I mean, if I was CL3 or if I, Linder or however we want to call him, at this point, I wouldn't be ponying up for another $10 million. I mean, I spent my $13 million. I gave you a shit ton for Lacadia, and yeah, you can mark that one. Sorry. And, but it's like, I would say, work with what you got. I'll give you a little bit more to replace him, but we're not going big money, and I'm not signing a big contract until we see, if we're staying, with the technical staff we have. I mean, if this season tanks out and we end up with a three wooden spoon collection, I would think we just clean house.
Yeah. No, I don't want to get too far down that window yet, but
yeah.
Or that road, whatever you call it. Fly puts up a great comment here on Instagram or whatever that is. Maybe Gerard, thank you. Maybe Gerard thinks there's no chance due to our international slot and senior slot situation. Well, who created that situation?
There you go. I mean, I really have very little. I have difficulty seeing just how you can build in this current window. You have to pull some major strings to get a domestic of a high level domestic, or deal a few, buy another slot to get another international player in.
I don't think it's the international. That's the problem. It's not the international.
Well, we could get rid of.
We can get rid of Kovacevic or whatever, and we'd get an international, or we could buy one. There's probably some team that isn't using one. It may cost us an arm and a leg, but if we were going to buy a DP for $10 million and it costs us $500,000 for an international slot, that's just noise at that point. So who cares? The international spot you can buy and sell, right?
Yeah.
It's going to kill you down the road. Yeah, exactly. But you can solve that problem. And the issue is the senior roster spots, right? We have to have senior roster spots to put players in, and you have to have the actual ZAM or whatever we want to call it for that player as well.
XAM, not ZAM. XAM. Come on,
we know what you meant.
I like ZAM. So
it sounds like a sports car.
I prefer spam.
Tam Gam Zam, man.
Tam Gam. Thank you, ma'am. There's a lot of play here, and Ken and Brad, I'm sure, can touch on this next week when they come on. I'll be at a wedding, so I won't get to watch the game, and I don't know how to figure out how to watch a replay, so we'll figure that out. Help me out there, FC Cincinnati. Help me out there. Please help me out there. So I'm talking a lot, guys, but I apologize for that. But
No. I love it.
We have the ability to move some pieces around, but at the same point, like Fly was asking about, like, we are stuck, and as a fan base, if we don't, this is something I've been thinking about. If we don't sign anybody big this season, and maybe we bring in a guy on a loan from an MLS club or whatever, if we don't sign anybody, we come in 12th or whatever, super disappointed. But if we don't waste that allocation money on bringing in an overpaid foreign player, could that set us up better in the future? So there's a lot going on here. But I feel like there's always a mechanism. There's always a cog, whether it's Birding given the trust or CL3 given the trust out there to the FO. You would think everybody would be in lockstep here, but I'm just really interested because I felt like we'd be in a better spot than where we are right now, or at least maybe showing. Yeah, we're showing some progression, and then it kind of came back to earth a little bit.
Yeah.
But we got to remember, we've got contracts with players like Medunjanin, Makocho, $1 million contracts with guys sitting on the bench. And, we just can't keep affording to do that. I mean, we have to get to the point where, we're being a little smarter about just throwing money in and bringing somebody in. So it's not about bringing some guy in now. It's about what does this roster need long-term? And
great point. I made this little graph here of the signings that we've had so far. I put them as like plus, minus, and NA or equal. I came out with Acosta's been a great signing. Bayal's been a great signing. Cameron's been a great signing. I put Zhao in that signing group. I really would.
Okay.
Then Matarrita. And the one thing I noticed with this whole thing, some of his negatives were Kubo. I still kind of rate Kubo there because he's not the left winger that we thought. Pedersen, VDW, Stanko. One thing you guys notice, that first or second window to now, he is getting better, quote unquote, with his signings. Vicia, Castillo. So just something I want to throw out there.
Yeah.
DeJong.
Oh, you had to remind me about the Young. Huh?
Oh, I forgot I'd even put him on there. He'd be a minus. I'm joking. I wanted him to.
We all did.
He was so cool. He was so cool. I would love to have had a beer with him at Northern Row or something. Like I wanted that guy to be like statues. Sorry.
Yeah. Unfortunately, drinking beer with players doesn't win you games.
Ha!
Yeah.
Nor drinking beers with coaches. Wink, wink.
Yep. This is true. Of course, we'd love to hear from you, FCC fans. Get in touch with us. Feedback at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com or hit us up on Twitter as well at Cincy Soccer Talk. One area where we think maybe this is where there's some hope, right, is FC Cincinnati finally had their first homegrown player see the pitch in an MLS game. Kimi Ordonez made his debut over the weekend against Nashville. A lot of question marks about, well, where's he going to play? Because they threw him at left back, but that is not where he normally plays. So what the heck is going on there? We're already playing him out of position. Bill, do you know what's going on there? Nothing. All right.
Nothing.
Regardless, right? This is great. Larry Sunderland finally getting an academy product on the field for the orange and blue. This is something I think FCC fans can all get behind and be excited about, right? He's a young, talented player. They signed him up, and he made his debut over the weekend. Again, we don't know what the future looks like for this kid, but he did it. And so now the question is, how many more are we going to start to see trickle in? Because this will help this roster build going forward. Getting more youth, getting more domestic players into this system is only going to free up Gerard with more resources later.
For sure.
You got to play the kids. If you bring them up, you got to play them. And I don't want to create problems putting him in a role where he's not used to, whether it's left back. Coach, they see it more than I do, so I'm not trying to do anything there. But like, you're not going to see these kids develop into people you can sell on unless you develop them and play them.
Sitting on the bench is not going to sell.
Sitting on the bench is not going to sell. So we're going to throw him in the deep end like we did to Frankie, or is there a better support structure there? So I'm very interested to see how that goes.
Frankie's a success, right? I mean, we played the crap out of him. He, had his little pouty fit or whatever, but we made, $1 million off of him, and he's, playing about half as much as he did for us over at Red Bulls. I'll take it.
I know. How about that guy? I'm trying to figure that out right now. He didn't start on the weekend. I know that, but he subbed in.
Yeah, he's coming in as a sub, I think. I mean,
and we got $1 million in GAM for him. So
yeah. So out of the last 6 games. He didn't play one. He started one and he subbed in 4. So 6 games, 4 subs, 1 start, 1 not featured. So yeah, it's tough.
But Jeff, I mean, this is where you've got to start seeing what you've got. And again, if this would be the time to play him, right? I mean, there's no these legs need some rest, right? These guys have been playing a lot of minutes. It's hot. We need to start seeing what we've got in Ben Mines. We need to see what we've got in Kimi, Flanagan. These guys need to start playing to give some of these guys some minutes of break. They need a break.
I'm hoping that part of it is also people getting healthier. We haven't brought up Zico Bailey. He's been on the injured list. I think that as minutes start to get, we start to gain manpower again, then those minutes are going to be distributed well. I'm hoping we do see Archimedes more on the wing. Maybe the plan has been to have him come up as a winger, and we're bringing him up because we just don't have any more wingers left. If I recall, I think he did pretty good on the MLS Next little mini tournament that they had a few weeks ago. And so maybe that justified bringing him up. I hope that we can see something good come out of it. And maybe that gives, if anything, maybe that gives Stom more positivity to give other people chances as well.
You said hope there a lot, buddy. It's the hope that kills you, pal. Oh, come on. That joke was funny.
I liked it. I'm laughing on the inside, I promise.
Yeah, I've heard it so many times. I'm desensitized to it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's
Hope out.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to see it. I'm hoping that we see more and more of these homegrown players starting to sign and play. Kimi is just the second homegrown player, if I'm not mistaken, behind Beckham Sunderland. So I don't know if we'll see Beckham play anytime soon. My guess is no, but
we'll get to see him a lot more in next year.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that is true with MLS Next. I agree. And with the new second or third division that MLS is setting up. So that should be interesting as well. Yeah. But we're excited. Kudos to Kimi. Kudos to Larry Sunderland for getting that one across the line. And hopefully Larry starts churning out more of these guys because the orange and blue definitely need it for sure. All right. You want to hold up your USA scarf? See, yes. This is Brian. He's like the Segway king over here.
Way off. There we go.
So today, our own DJ Schweitzer dropped a bombshell that looks like Cincinnati and TQL Stadium will be hosting a World Cup qualifier. Is that for this fall, gentlemen? We don't know a date yet, but it'll be for this fall. And so we don't know the opponent yet, although DJ did speculate on Twitter today that it would be Mexico. That has not been confirmed.
None of it's been confirmed.
Right. So that's true.
Hopefully I'll know soon. Very soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
But
it's
exciting, right?
He said this week he thought that there would be an announcement.
Yeah.
So if you look on US Soccer's website, they do have some qualifiers posted. They have the US Canada at Nashville, US Jamaica at Austin, and then they have US Costa Rica. So no, if you do press next, it does say US Mexico. So I was worried about that. So what I'm saying is we'll see what happens. Regardless, we're in a freaking spot to host a damn national team World Cup qualifying game. How jacked are you? And that is due to what Todd said, due to the support that we've had, the kick-ass support we've had filling that stadium, beautiful stadium, and I can't wait.
What a slap to the face of that town up north that used to host that Mexico qualifier year after every 4 years. Now it might be moving.
Build a bigger stadium, bro.
That's definitely the point here. You got 20,000 seats in one stadium, 26,000 seats in another stadium. If you're
sorry, go ahead.
If you're hosting all, if you want to get as much crowd in there as possible, you want to get as much volume as possible, you go with more crowds. Now, granted, you might also be bringing in, a whole bunch more Mexican fans or a whole bunch more Costa Rican fans, but you're going to have a louder crowd supporting the U.S. men's team.
So I'm just looking at Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is fact. So take that as it is. 20,000 seats, 20,000 spectators, 30 suites, 1,900 club seats at lower.com stadium. TQL, 26,000 seats, 59 suites, and 4,500 club seats. So if you're just looking at that dollars and cents, which we know U.S. soccer is, what do you think?
Makes sense.
It kills me. It kills me though. I've been to two personally. I've been to two Dos Aceros in Columbus. Of course it'd be completely different not in Crew Stadium, but you do have to feel for those people. If this comes to fruition, if this happens, we don't know. But Columbus has been the home for U.S. soccer. So I do kind of feel a little dirty if we would somehow get this.
I don't.
But I don't know. I do.
The thrill is gone. I mean, I went up to the last time it was U.S. Mexico and Columbus, and that was a disappointing performance. And so, really, do you want to have that chance of repeating there, or do you want to try have another fresh reset, a loud crowd, a talented U.S. team that's coming up, that's coming off the heels of beating Mexico recently? That I want to see them winning this game in Cincinnati and having a loud crowd to support them.
Colin on YouTube, he says, Subs, for you, the town up north is Detroit. Fair play. Yes.
So, I was thinking about, you're talking about the Costa Rica or Mexican fans, things like that. That is a certain issue. Like they hosted Costa Rica versus US in Red Bull Arena last year, and it was a Costa Rica match. So I know there's been a lot of buzz about Kansas City, about Columbus, about Minnesota for that Dos Acero match. I just don't see them doing like Cincinnati in October for Costa Rica and then Mexico in Columbus in November. I just don't see them doing two cities in Ohio. So I really think it's going to have to be one of us. I really do. I think it's going to have to be one of us to get that match.
Yeah, and then it's no contest. So
yeah, or Costa Rica or Mexico, either way, and then throw the other one in the spring.
Maybe they should use the last game, the winner of the last game between the two teams to decide who gets it.
The overall winner is us, right?
Between Columbus and Cincinnati, we won we had the major
last game.
Yeah, it should go to us, huh?
Yeah.
I'm so confused. What?
Last year. He's talking about last year because we tied and then last year we won.
If there was a cage match between us and Columbus, right now the last team to have won the game was us.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
How amazing though would it be? In Columbus, of course, it's changed. It's going to change regardless. But like in Columbus, the pre-match, they sent up like a disco tent outside like the stadium by the railroad tracks, and then it was at a small bar, and Alexi Lawless was on a roof with Rob Stone. Imagine having that in the West End or over the Rhine or Washington Park and taking that over. And what's the theater? I mean, there's theaters all over down. I mean, there's small theaters, but imagine having a pregame show in one of the cool theaters down there, then moving to Rheingeist or Northern Row or doing all these other things. I think it would set the bar. Yeah, and change a seismic change. Sorry.
Let's just talk about something here, right? Everybody is upset about FC Cincinnati these days because our product on the pitch isn't up to what our expectations are. But we have knocked it out of the park as far as the front office organization, the training facilities, the stadium. I mean, there's a lot of issues with the stadium. Let's be realistic about it. I mean, we can go on for hours about problems with the stadium. But even despite that, and the fact that it's just open and some of this stuff's just going to work itself out, we have a great stadium. And this is what, when you talk about like a U.S. soccer kind of match, they don't care whether FC Cincinnati isn't performing on the pitch. What they want to know is what's the infrastructure like? We have the West End, we have OTR, we have TQL Stadium, we have a phenomenal training facility for them to use. And that's what's going to make the difference for this team, whether they, go to Columbus or they go to Minnesota, they come here. And I think, we can give a lot of credit to this organization, FC Cincinnati, for what they've done and the fact that they have really upped the soccer game in Cincinnati at a high level to the point where we can talk about this. I mean, if we'd been talking about this in the past, right, with Nippert Stadium and everything else, and yeah, everybody was kind of a dream, but everybody knew until we actually had a grass pitch and a real stadium, we weren't going to get the U.S. men's national team gear. And then we pulled it off, but it was like a weird game, and it was kind of So this is like truly, I think, like that next bar, right? This is a game that matters. This is a qualifier. This is probably Mexico, according to DJ, or if we look at it, maybe Costa Rica. But either one would be phenomenal.
Those are great games.
Either one, right?
Yep.
So I mean, and we'd probably have players from our own team playing for Costa Rica. So it would be an interesting matchup in that sense. But regardless, I think soccer has turned in this city, and I would say thank you to FC Cincinnati for that. So.
Let's be real. CONCACAF and U.S. Soccer Federation owe us. We should be hosting that game on Thursday night versus Austin. So come on, owe us. Pay us back for what you took away from us.
So yeah, full credit to right. Full credit to DJ for breaking that news today on Twitter. We were hoping to get him on the show tonight to discuss it. He was unavailable. We'll try and catch up with him a little bit later on. Hopefully, maybe even next week when I'm not here. But somebody else will be filling in my stead. This is the last CST from this very house. After 259 episodes, I'll be moving next week
to Cincinnati.
No, don't get that out there because that is not true. No, but somebody will be filling in next week. TBD. We have not figured out who that will be just yet, but somebody will be filling in for me next week.
I'll be on the road, pal.
Yep. So it's probably going to be either Brad or Boston. So we'll see. Yeah, I know. We'll see.
Are we getting a March to Match Day version of CST podcast?
I don't know. We'll see.
Oh my goodness!
Just don't put them both on because that'll be weird.
We love them both. Don't get any wrong ideas here. So make sure you check out March to Match Day. Boston and Brad do a great job of that show. You know who else does a great job? Coach Brad Goff on Talking Tactics with Justin Hoyt. Last week they put out 2 episodes. Double the money. Check it out. Go get subscribed so you don't miss a single episode of the podcast. Last week on the show, we read some really great reviews. We got a lot of them last week. We asked for reviews involving bidets. What was the other one? Shushing, shandies. I mean, we got them all. We got some really, really good ones. I don't know if I should read them because they're so long and they're so good. I'll pick a couple of them out. Sound good? You gents up for that?
Sure.
All right, good. So this first one, I will tell you what. I couldn't believe we got this one. I had to find it. It was so long. Give me a sec. Oh, here we go. I found it. Okay, this was called CST Makes Me Feel Clean Again. After a full day of battle as a foot soldier in the FCC and MLS podcast wars, I made my way home and fixed a meal of leftover La Rosas and 3-day-old Skyline. I washed these delicacies, I can't even say the word, delicacies down with a delightful lemon shandy. Shortly, I began to feel pressure. No, it wasn't the kind of pressure that Jaap Stam must feel from the front office. It was a wholly different kind. Alarmed, I made my way to my palatial restroom, where much like a Vermeer long ball, the pressure sprayed out aimlessly. I used this time to write a critique of a podcast here and there. Upon completion, I decided to test my newly installed Heine cleaner. I pressed the cleanse button and was hit by an Edgar Castillo rocket shot of water. I flew across the room, smashing the drywall like a Kubo tackle. Sufficiently impressed and cleansed, I limped over to my favorite easy chair to listen to a podcast hosted by a man who lives in the frozen wasteland of northern Ohio. Who would have thought that a man who lives so close to Michigan could be so intelligent and seemingly educated? Despite his proximity to the stain that is Toledo, Nick Stribling does an excellent job hosting and asking questions on the Cincinnati Soccer Talk podcast. Ably joined by a cast of actual Cincinnatians, he puts out a show well worth a listen. The Talking Tactics and March to Match Day podcast will keep you satisfied through the week. Some might even say they are superior shows. Would I say that? I don't know. Ask me after my next visit with my bidet. Oh, thank you so much for that review. Carpe Noctem 1. My favorite part of that review is Bill Wolf sent it in one morning. It was like, what is happening? And I'm pretty sure Bill had not listened to last week's episode. So he had no idea why bidets came up.
No.
Ken Hennig was on the show. Yeah, now he does.
Yeah, now I know. Exactly.
There we go.
That dude is in love with bidets. He talks about them like 90% of the time in our Slack channel. That's all. I mean, statistics and bidets.
Oh my gosh. Oh, so good.
Actually, he gives statistics on bidets.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. This next one is from Sarah, and it is not my wife, Sarah. This is a different Sarah. The title of the review is The Bidet of Podcasts. Cincinnati Soccer Talk is perfect for Cincinnati soccer fans. The guys give great critiques while keeping a mainly positive attitude. We try to be positive around here, Sarah. They not only talk about the FCC match, but about the latest news in the FCC community. I may not have the luxury of owning a bidet, but I do have the luxury of being able to listen to this great podcast. Thank you so much, Sarah, for these reviews. I really appreciate it. I want to read all of these because they're all so good. All right, I'm going to read one more. This is from Dupless. It says, "Are you entertained? Listen to the most recent podcast, and it was the most entertaining to date. The breakdown of the most recent goal-a-palooza match between FC Cincy and Montreal had me not wanting to leave my bidet and miss a moment of this thoughtful insight. From the goal scoring of Da Silva to the harsh critique on Vermeer, it's a podcast that shouldn't be missed. Sorry this review is so short, but it's time to get off the bidet and get back to work." Oh, man, so good. Thank you so much, everybody, for sending those in. We really do appreciate it. If you want to leave a review for the show, head on over to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/Apple Podcasts. Before you leave your rating and review, do me a favor, do a screenshot of your review. Send it to me at feedback@CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. I will send you a CST shirt. I think we ended up sending out 6 shirts last week. So if you want to get involved, leave a review. CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/Apple Podcasts is where you can do that. Gentlemen, I'm going to ask you, what are our keywords for this week? What should people leave their reviews about? Dos Acero? No? Crickets? Okay.
Hold on. I'll think of something. Composure.
What else? Can we do something about Nashville?
Guitars, right? Acoustic guitars.
Oh, I like that. What about Bill Wolf and his guitar playing? No, you don't like that? We don't have to do that.
No, that's fine, man. Go for it.
Okay. Okay. So we'll do, what was it? Oh, Dos Acero and Bill Wolf's guitar. Not his playing ability, but just Bill Wolf's guitar.
Just his guitar.
Just his guitar. And maybe Jeff's suit. How about that? You down for that, Jeff?
Okay. Well, if they're watching it on
that's a good point.
On YouTube.
One more look at my guitar.
All right. Let's wrap things up. I'll start with you, Bri. As always, appreciate you being on the show. Back-to-back weeks. It's like riding a bike, right?
Yeah. And I was sober this week too, so if I was bad, I apologize.
No, I was too. I did not drink a single shandy. People were asking about it in the chat. I first of all, I ran out of shandies. I don't have any more. But yeah, I think the shandy magic ran out. So
oh no. Well, I do start coaching my daughter's U5 team next week.
Ooh,
I have my daughter, my nephew, and my neighbor's son on the team. So this is going to be entertaining. So glorified babysitter. So my final thought is there's been a lot of people just trashing Brenner. And yes, it wasn't his best week. It wasn't his best week finishing the Nashville opportunity at 33rd minute. It wasn't great. But if you really do, I put together, I think, stats on 11 young DP type players, like under like 23, 24. And there are very, very few that come out and perform like a $13 million player. You got Diego Rossi, who had 12, 17, 16. But then you have, a guy who we're linked with, Kevin Cabral, 1 goal this year. Ignacio Aliseda, 1 goal in 19 games last year, 3 goals this year. The guy from New York, he's had 3 goals. Jesus Medina, 6'3", 7'6". These guys, we need to have, the expectation. And I've said this this isn't me backpedal. I've said this the whole year. Like, if he gets 8 goals, I think it's a great year for the kid. So he's still on his way there. Just remember, he's a 13, 15 million dollar player, but not in that true sense. So just calm down a little bit on him. So I think he's going to do great things. You see it. You see his movement in Atlanta. I swear to God, this guy looks like goals are coming in buckets at some point, but calm down on him.
All right. Again, appreciate you being on the show. Even in that bomb pop kit, I dig it. And as always,
medium, no, baby. I can't fit in this thing anymore. Oh, kids and COVID, baby, putting them pounds on.
Appreciate you. All right, Jeff Tebbets, you got any final thoughts as we wrap up?
I think my final thoughts are basically U.S. Team related. I think people that have listened to me on the podcast, I'm really getting into both the men's and women's teams participating around the same time right now. The women struggled in that game against Sweden over in Japan, but then they came around with that big 6-1 victory. And then the men are showing progress day by day. Of all the teams that have played in the Gold Cup, they have the highest goal differential right now. They might not be putting pretty games up to par, but they're winning games. They're starting to discover who can be played in many different spots. You're seeing the stock on Shaq Moore, on Matthew Hoppe. They're starting to become names in the U.S. Soccer world. That can only get better. So I'm hoping that you're all enjoying watching country teams just as much as watching club teams. Big game on Thursday against Qatar. And if they win that, we get another great matchup against either Canada, who is becoming also a big team in CONCACAF, or Mexico. Either way, not to look too forward to it, but you're seeing good things with country soccer, and I hope that you're able to enjoy it as much as I am.
I'm with you there. Thank you so much, Jeff. I'm going to add a 1C to my best of the week. And how about Rose Lavelle scoring an Olympic goal? I'm so disappointed we waited till an hour and 12 minutes into the show to even bring it up, but how about that? Fantastic goal from Rose.
That was a banger too. That was an incredible angle.
Yeah. So Cincinnati's own getting a goal in the Olympics. So kudos to her, and kudos to you, Jeff, for being on the show this week.
Thank you.
All right. Last but certainly not least, the one and only the Wolfman, Bill Wolf. Bill, final thoughts?
So looking for positives, trying to find wonderful things going on. Obviously, we've talked about U.S. national team and other things. I'll actually go local. I want to give a shout out to the national champions from King's Hammer, the King's Hammer Boys 05 Red Squad, coached by James Thomas. They were the U.S. Youth Soccer national champions. So we are kicking butt and taking names at a youth level. And obviously that feeds into the academy here potentially. And I think good things for Cincinnati as a whole. So it's good to see winning ways all around. So congratulations to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you there. Congrats to everybody there at King's Hammer on a fine year, not just with the youth ranks, but even in USL and everything. King's Hammer's doing a lot of fantastic work. Speaking of fantastic work, I have invented a new drinking game. It is called the Bill Wolf game. And I got to tell you, Bill, I got absolutely hammered Wednesday night. For the Atlanta
I would
game.
imagine.
Every time I see you drumming, I take a drink of my shandy, and you were on there quite a bit. Kudos.
Yeah, I was thinking if you didn't get enough to drink, you can let me know. Like I could wear like a hula skirt or something next time, and some coconuts. That would probably like put me on the camera like every 5 seconds. I'd be almost irresistible to the national TV, I'm sure.
You have to switch to pina coladas for that one.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the new the Bill Wolf drinking game. We've got another caller. Todd has called back in. He wants a final thoughts. So we asked for callers all night long. Todd has called back in. Todd, what do you want? What do you want to add to the end of the show this week?
All right, guys. So here's my final thoughts. So well done on the show tonight. You guys all did great. I've officially drafted Brian to the NWO Red team. Brad's going to NWO White for Pod Wars. Bill Wolfman is probably going to be on my squad, so I apologize. here's what we got going on. Anybody that listens to this, anybody who's posting on the Bailey pages and stuff, do you guys want to get involved? Go find a supporters group. Go get involved. Go be a capo. Go cheer. Go clap. That's one thing I want to say. Secondly, I feel bad for Chelsea and Spurs fans because Rafael Varane and Sancho coming to Manchester United. We have more spots that we're filling. Rashford's going to be back in October. So when we do the EPL talk, I can't wait for all these people, especially these Chelsea fans like Matt Brew, who got lucky because they were terrible during the season. And Liverpool will never win the season again. 1 for 31. Congratulations. Outside of that, Subs, let me know when I'm filling in when you're not there. And one thing I did want to say, I want to see Lucho in a false 9 play up top too.
Yeah, you said that earlier.
Brenner can flip. Yeah, I want Atonga to come in, and I think that we can play that false 9 role. That's going to give our midfield a whole lot more dexterity and flexibility. That's all I got.
You're the man, Todd. Appreciate you calling.
I am so relieved. I thought he was going to make me a cheerleader after my hula skirt comment.
I think we found our FCC2 coach right now, Todd.
Oh man,
It's not fair. I was an NWO white guy, and he threw me on the red team. So we'll see how it goes.
Does that make me sting with this?
Oh,
I have
that's
no
pretty
idea
good.
what
I
you're
like that.
talking about.
That's funny.
For the record, I'm not involved in any pod wars. There's no wars. It's pod peace. It's pod peace. We're not doing this. It's pod peace, and I will leave it at that. I want to thank everybody who left the tremendous reviews this week. Don't forget, we are doing the reviews this week. It is Bill Wolf's guitar. It is somebody in the chat room mentioned bachelorette parties.
Yeah, that's good.
Bachelorette
That's
parties,
good.
throw that in there. And Jeff's suit. So leave those CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/Apple podcast to do that. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of CST. Thank you so much to Todd Carnes for calling in twice this week. You got a double dose of Todd. For Brian Weigel, the Wolfman, Bill Wolf, and Jeff Tebbets, I'm Subs, reminding you to watch your tackles. CSTers will see you. I'll see you in a couple weeks, but we'll be back next week with CST. So long.